Imagine this. You're 22 years old, the world tells you to get a safe job, to climb a predictable ladder. But you're not on a ladder, you're in a garage, a concrete box that smells of damp earth, stale coffee, and the faint electric hum of overworked circuits. This isn't a quirky startup cliché, it's a cold, harsh reality. The air is thick with the pressure of student loans and credit card debt, each statement a paper cut to your ambition. You're coding through sleepless nights, fueled by cheap energy drinks and a dwindling belief in yourself. This is a place that reeks of desperation. But then, in the darkest hour, just before the false dawn, a different feeling surfaces. It's not just hope. It's clarity. A spark. You see a problem so clearly, a frustration shared by millions, yet ignored by everyone else. For Alex, it was the profound loneliness he saw in a hyper-connected world. The idea struck him not like a lightning bolt, but like a slow, rising tide. An app that could foster genuine human connection, not just passive scrolling. But deep down, amidst the doubt and exhaustion, you feel it, a fire igniting, a conviction so powerful it burns away the fear. This was more than code, it was a cause. That's where it all truly began for Alex. He wasn't born with silver spoons or a network of powerful contacts. He forged his own path with calloused fingers and a relentless will. He turned down the job offers that promised stability, enduring the worried glances from his family and the skeptical smirks from friends. He poured every dollar he had, every waking moment, into this single, fragile idea. The garage became his entire world. Whiteboards were covered in a chaotic language of algorithms and user flows. Sleep became a luxury he couldn't afford. There were countless bugs, dead ends, and moments where quitting felt like the only sane option. Then came the moment of truth. With a trembling hand and a prayer, he pressed the launch button. One app, one idea that exploded not overnight but in a cascade of digital word of mouth. The first day, 100 downloads, but then one user shared it, then 10. A small tech blog wrote a single paragraph. Suddenly the trickle became a flood. His phone buzzed incessantly, the server crashed, then it crashed again. Downloads surged into the hundreds of thousands. And then, the phone rang with an unfamiliar area code. Investors called. Suddenly the garage was a memory. He's living the dream he barely dared to imagine. Penthouse views that stretched to the horizon. The visceral roar of a supercar engine. The quiet satisfaction of erasing his debt with a single wire transfer. The world was at his feet. From the outside it was a perfect, meteoric ascent. A modern fairy tale written in lines of code. This is the rise, a breathtaking climb to the summit of success. But the air is thin at the top and the view can be deceiving. Every peak has its cliff, and the higher you climb, the more treacherous the fall becomes. This is the story of that fall, and what it takes to get back up. It started as a ripple. Alex's app, Nexus, wasn't just software, it was a digital lifeline. Stories poured in. A grandmother seeing her newborn grandchild across oceans, an artist finding a soulmate halfway across the world. It connected people on a profoundly human level, weaving a global tapestry of shared moments. The world hadn't just downloaded an app, it had embraced a new way to feel close. Alex was no longer just a coder, he was an architect of human connection. And with connection came commerce. The growth was explosive. The revenue charts weren't just climbing, they were vertical. 1 million, then 5, then 20. The numbers became abstract. Investor meetings, once a desperate plea, transformed. Now they came to him, briefcases full of offers. Alex, once the underdog, was now holding all the cards, playing a game with more zeros than he had ever imagined. He needed a team. The small apartment gave way to a sprawling, glass-walled office humming with energy. He hired the brightest minds, dreamers, rebels, and geniuses who saw the world as he did. Whiteboards were covered in frantic equations and bold new features. The air crackled with furious typing and jubilant breakthroughs. From the quiet solitude of his mind, Alex was now conducting an orchestra, building an empire from code. One night, standing in his penthouse, the city sprawled beneath him like a carpet of diamonds. The thought landed. I've made it. The words felt monumental. He remembered the beat-up sedan he used to drive, the one that barely started in winter. He had climbed out of that life, all the way up here. A feeling of pure, unassailable power washed over him. He felt invincible. His new reality rippled outwards. Old friends looked at him differently, their congratulations tinged with an envy they couldn't hide. His family, however, was a beacon of pure joy. At a dinner, his father, a man of few words, raised a glass, his eyes glistening. "You didn't just build a company, son," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You built a legacy." Their pride made the success feel real. This was the summit. The magazine covers, the keynote speeches, the private jet. He moved through a world of rooftop parties where champagne flowed like water, and conversations were about disrupting industries not paying rent. It was a dizzying, intoxicating high, a state of pure, unfiltered triumph. Every day was a victory lap. But the thing about standing on the summit is that you're alone. Success is a blindingly bright light, and it's easy to forget the shadow it casts. A long, dark one. While Alex was bathed in the glow, he didn't notice the subtle shifts, the missed calls, his own isolated reflection in the window. He was so focused on the light ahead, he was blind to the darkness at his heels. Because the immutable law of the universe is balance. The brighter the light, the darker the fall. It began almost imperceptibly, a single discordant note in a grand symphony. The team had just pushed a major update, one they'd celebrated with pizza and cheap champagne just nights before. This was their victory lap. The first few user complaints were easy to dismiss. Just a few bugs, Alex had assured the team, his voice radiating the confidence that had carried them this far. We'll patch it. But the complaints didn't stop, they multiplied. The trickle became a flood, a torrent of digital outrage crashing against their servers. The forums lit up with anger. Their perfect 5-star rating began to plummet. The small glitch wasn't small at all. It was a fundamental flaw, a crack in the very foundation of their code. But the technical crisis was just a smokescreen for a much deeper, more personal wound. While Alex and the engineering team worked around the clock, fueled by caffeine and desperation, his partner and closest friend Ben was orchestrating the final act of a devastating betrayal. Ben was the one who handled the finances, the one Alex trusted implicitly. They had started this in a garage, sharing dreams over cold noodles. The discovery wasn't a dramatic confrontation. It was a quiet, sickening realization. A call from the bank about an unusual transfer, an empty desk where Ben should have been, and then, the final, crushing blow. A single, cold email. "I'm out. Good luck." He hadn't just siphoned the funds, draining their accounts dry. He had vanished with the proprietary code, the digital DNA of their entire operation. The fallout was immediate and catastrophic. The lawsuits started arriving, thick manila envelopes filled with legal jargon that all screamed the same thing: failure. The investors, the same people who had toasted his genius at lavish dinners, now saw him as a liability. Their calls were no longer friendly check-ins, they were cold, clipped demands for answers he didn't have. One by one, they pulled their funding. The tech blogs that had once heralded him as the next visionary now ran headlines painting him as a fraud. Alex was left standing in the wreckage. He'd walked through the now empty office, the silence a deafening roar compared to the energetic buzz that once filled it. He watched his creation, his life's work, get torn apart in the digital town square, brick by painful digital brick. The sleepless nights, a familiar companion from the early startup days, returned with a vengeance. But this was a different kind of insomnia. It wasn't the exhilarating exhaustion of building something new. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket of regret.
"How could I have been so blind?" he'd whisper to the rain-streaked window, his own reflection a ghostly stranger.
The signs were all there, weren't they? The hushed phone calls Ben would take in the hallway. The vague answers about finances. He had dismissed it all as stress, the pressure of the job. He had chosen to see a friend, not a saboteur. We've all been there. That moment when the world you built starts cracking under your feet. Rock bottom isn't a myth, it's a brutal teacher. Alex lost it all. Friends ghosted, family distanced themselves from the failure, debts mounted like mountains. He stared into the mirror, seeing a stranger, broken, defeated. Nights blurred into days of self-doubt. Is this the end? He asked the void. But here's the raw truth. Pain isn't your enemy. It's the forge that tempers steel. When you're shattered, that's when you rebuild. Stronger, sharper, unbreakable. In the silence of defeat, Alex found his voice. He revisited old notes, relived the hunger that started it all. Failure isn't final, he realized. It's fuel. He cut the noise, toxic ties, distractions, and dove deep. Real-life grit, early mornings running, coding experiments failing but teaching. This wasn't about revenge, it was rebirth. From the ashes of loss, a new vision emerged. Your lowest point? That's your launch pad. Alex didn't wait for permission. He grinded solo, learning from scars, iterating relentlessly. New app, smarter, tougher, partnerships, built on trust he earned the hard way. Revenue trickled, then flowed. Team reformed, loyal this time. This rise wasn't flashy, it was forged in fire. Every setback sharpened me, he said, and damn it showed. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you grind through the hell of your doubts. Today Alex stands taller, not on fragile success but on unbreakable will. His story, a blueprint for anyone crushed by life. From garage dreamer to fallen king to supreme force. This is pain to power, not avoiding the storm but becoming it. Your fire's waiting, ignite it, own it, dominate. If this hit home, you're ready for your forge. Hit subscribe, smash that bell, and commit to your grind. Because your breakthrough starts now. Share your story in the comments. What's the pain you're turning into power? Let's build empires together. Stay savage. See you in the next one.